at what's really going on Bitcoin cryptocurrency today. Going to be taking a look at XRP, Ripple against USDT. Going to be assessing some of these key technical aspects of price action moving forward. Going to be assessing some of these pivotal areas of support and resistance I believe we're going to be kind of interacting with in the kind of near future here. We appear to be having the ever so dreaded break downward from this what appears to be symmetrical triangle-esque pattern that we've been accumulating through for like a matter of weeks between kind of the middle of April to very recently the end of May here. And so now we have the bullish strength to find support at these kind of local areas and kind of find our way back at the kind of dollar to multi-dollar range, or are we going to find our way to lower levels that we've been kind of trapped in accumulating for in the not so far past. So let me know what you're doing with your XRP. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Are you trading? Are you holding? Did you sell through all this like panic selling, or did you buying at these dips? Like, what is your kind of strat moving forward if you have an XRP bag? Subscribe here on YouTube. Let me know in the comments down below. Jumping right into it. To kind of recap this kind of price action, to kind of relate it to kind of what is currently unfolding. We have an example of kind of prices rallying kind of upward, consolidating in a sideways manner before breaking downward aggressively, kind of where it came from, consolidating in a kind of very aggressive sideways manner for like periods of like tens of days kind of thing, and then breaking upward again to where it came from previously, consolidating for tens of more days, perhaps a couple months, and then finally kind of continuing upward. And so I believe if we can't find kind of local support, I believe what appears to be kind of around sort of like this range here, I believe prices are kind of still bullish if we can find, prices closing above ultimately 79 cents, in my opinion. We could very well have some wicks down into this range of kind of like 79 cents to 72 cents as we kind of find our way consolidating in a kind of more bearish manner before we kind of find support again and kind of make our way back up to the kind of previous kind of levels that we just came from. And so I suspect price action to be bullish enough to kind of find support in this kind of local range. Failure to hold here though will bring us down to that 62 cent resistance, or like support that I have there that was significant resistance previously. And so, but in my opinion, I do believe we're still bullish if we can hold, like the higher we hold above 79, the more short-term bullish we can be. We consider EngineeringRobo along with the Fear and Greed Index, in addition to the Fibonacci lines. We can see a new perspective kind of come into play when I kind of assess these kind of key levels. We have the Fibba zucchini lines coming in, correlating kind of nicely with my slapping zones of kicking and shoving. We have the 0.382 coming in at 81 cents, just above my 79 cent kind of local support there. And so 81 cents would be an even more kind of like short-term, sort of like bullish target that we could kind of bounce off of and find support at. We have the 0.5 line coming in at $1.03, which is just under my kind of zone here of $1.06 and kind of $1.15 will be a kind of key range that I believe we're going to have to kind of fly through. But that 0.5 line does seem to be a kind of local resistance that we might have kind of moving forward, and so I suspect prices bouncing between 81 cents at that 0.382 and below $1.03. That's kind of like a kind of local kind of resistance moving forward. And so I suspect we're going to need to kind of solidify $1 again as kind of support before we can kind of find our way back up to the next resistance, which appears to be around the 0.618 line at $1.25, a kind of more kind of like round level. And so I mean, that seems to be kind of the next sort of like short-term kind of pullback level that I do believe that we can interact with as resistance in the kind of near future, with the sell for present during this kind of crazy candle that opened at like $1.58 and like wicked all the way down to 85 cents, but then closed around $1. Was significant enough to print a bearish suggestion. The sell for kind of comes into play, and so does suspect that we could consolidate sideways in any kind of more bearish manner for perhaps a matter of like weeks to even months in some cases, as XRP does like to kind of take its time when it re-enters kind of a key level and does like to kind of accumulate. And so when we consider the kind of Fear and Greed Index here, we can see that there was key times to be accumulating in the kind of end of December of 2020 and the kind of end of January rather of 2021. And so say you accumulated around 26 cents end of January there of this year, and then you sold at our first interaction with the FOMO zone, from fear to FOMO zone, in 77 days you made 577%. And so that is more of a kind of like mid to long term type strat for traders, for investors rather, who prefer to kind of buy and hold, aside from traders who tend to use kind of more short-term strategies, perhaps support and resistance, Fibonacci lines, to kind of take profits at these kind of key levels, whereas the long-term holder will buy at these kind of accumulation periods, hold through all this ridiculous sideways, and then take profit at these kind of key levels. And so up in the FOMO zone, we have that key take profit levels. There's tons of FOMO present as well. And so, I mean, if the coin is bullish enough, we can very well enter the FOMO zone and then rally aggressively and have some very volatile price action up and down. Although what usually happens is, very key sell pressure comes into play and we get rejected and find our way back downward. So there's lots going on for XRP at the moment. The uptrend overall does seem long-term bullish in my opinion, although I do suspect that we could be trapped in a kind of prolonged phase of accumulation here moving forward. We have this key zone above 81 cents, just below a dollar that we could be bouncing between kind of the next coming weeks here. When we consider the price of XRP against the price of Bitcoin, we have some more sort of accumulation type price action, and so we have a key rejection above just under my zone of slapping, shoving, kicking, spitting, and overall not good time area. We have rejection, a lower high relative to a wick up in up to 47 Satoshi at the 24th of November of 2020. We printed a much lower technical lower high at 39.10, getting rejected ultimately from my zone under kind of like 34.61 and just under 37.82 is kind of an area that's going to be key resistance moving forward, and that was a significant rejection, enough to fall through my next support line at 28.92 Satoshi, and so I suspect price action to find its way down to my next support line in line is the 22.64 Satoshi level, and so I suspect price action to find its way kind of between this kind of local resistance around 28.92 and then support hopefully at 22.64. Failure to hold there will bring us down to that 15.36 level, perhaps at a kind of like shorter, kind of like more bullish kind of target, but I do have a key support line around 15.28. When we consider EngineeringRobo with the Fibba Zucchini lines, we can see a new perspective come into play here when we consider the sell for and hell trying to print today. And so we have these key Fibba and Lamborghini lines coming in at, we have the 0.382 correlating nicely with my 28.90 resistance line. We have the 0.382 level coming in at 28.75 Satoshi. The 0.5 level is over there at 24.45 Satoshi, which is what we're approaching currently. Hopefully we can have a strong bounce off. I suspect price action will fall through and come to my support level at 22.69. And so we have the 0.618 coming in at a more local kind of bullish pullback target relative to my support line down at 15.27 Satoshi. We have the 0.618 coming in at 2012 Satoshi, and so that would be a much more bullish, bearish target that we could kind of make our way to as we have the sell for and hell printing on the Bitcoin chart, which does suspect that price action could get rather bearish against the price of Bitcoin for a kind of period of time. And so we very well could be trapped in a kind of phase of sideways kind of moving forward, although I'm still relatively bullish on the trend overall in the long term if we are above this kind of 200 daily moving average. And so these dips could be perfect times to buy, and some nice phases of accumulation are approaching. And so when we consider the price of Bitcoin against USDT, we can see where this ridiculous sell-off is taking us. We have key support around the 0.5 Fibba Gotti, Fibba Illuminati, Fibba playing Yahtzee with the paparazzi. 0.5 line coming in at 34K, 34.3, and so I mean that will be a nice strong kind of bounce area. I suspect price action to kind of start continuing to wick off of that. Failure to hold that will bring us down to my kind of next support level at 32K, but I would like price action to hold there. We have some really aggressive wicks, perhaps some falling knives could be caught during this phase of sideways as we find some local support at a very kind of key area, as there is some very, very extreme fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market. The FUD is ever so present, thick, and abundant, and so we have to be careful when jumping into the volatility that is Bitcoin at the moment. Bitcoin's always been volatile, but when there's all these kind of new traders in the market and there's all these crazy all-time highs and price levels that Bitcoin is unfamiliar with, these new traders that aren't ready for the volatility that crypto kind of entails, can get shaken out by these really aggressive moves, these multi-$1,000 dips, ups and downs, drops, these these crazy fluctuations that aren't typical among other sort of markets. But this is pretty average for Bitcoin. This is crypto. On a day-to-day basis, we have kind of just a more ideal time to buy Bitcoin. There's never a bad time to buy Bitcoin. There's only better times to buy Bitcoin. And so This seems to be kind of some of the nicest phases of accumulation and some of the nicest buying levels that we could probably ever have before we see the 100K levels, which I do suspect that we will see throughout this year still. Now, thank you for hearing my analysis. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you're doing with your XRP, your Bitcoin. Do you trade, do you hold, or do you let the price action unfold? We have the sell 4 super sell coming in still to support this drop. When the buy signals start coming into play, we can start getting more short-term bullish. At the moment, we are short-term sideways. And so are you trading during this volatility? Are you holding through all this nonsense? Did you sell any of your Bitcoin? Did you sell all of your Bitcoin? What are you doing with your bag? Kind of moving forward. Subscribe here on YouTube. Try EngineeringRobo free with a link in the description. Check out all the social media down below. Thank you for tuning in, and tune in for the next one.